welcome. My name is Lexi Jong, and here I like to talk about luxury makeup. Today we are going to take a look at two new products from Dior. We have the eyeshadow palette in 569 Golden Day, and you can see that we've got some satins and shimmers as well as some matte shades in here. And then we also have the new Dior blush in number 332 Autumn Mood. This is limited edition. Both of these items are limited edition and exclusive to the Dior website. Now, if you have not been following the Dior saga, essentially what happened was Dior released the Romantic Voyage quad with the picture of Golden Day. So it had this picture, but it had, and the description for these shades as well. But the actual name given on the website was Romantic Voyage. And so a lot of people ordered that thinking they were getting this. So this was supposed to come out in the fall, but because of the mistake, Dior has kind of rushed the release of this. So they put Golden Day up on the website. And at first they put it up with a picture of Romantic Voyage. Then they took it down. So for a day, there were absolutely no pictures, just the names and descriptions. And then they put it up with the right pictures. And then the next day, they switched the pictures again. So right now, it is back to how it was originally with this picture being photographed with Romantic Voyage. If you order the Romantic Voyage Quint, and it says Romantic Voyage in your cart or on your invoice, you are getting the purple quad or quint. If you order the Golden Day and that's a name on there, but it has a Romantic Voyage picture, this is the one that you are getting, at least right now. So it's so confusing. It's a huge issue. If you get the wrong one, Dior's policy essentially is to pay for return shipping, but if you call them, they will obviously pay for the shipping since it's their mistake. So definitely, if you get the wrong one, make sure you call them. So that's kind of what's going on here. I was interested in both of these palettes. So for me, I was okay with this, but I think this is a huge mess. It's a huge issue, and Dior is going to be losing a lot of customers over this probably, just because it's confusing. Nobody wants to take the risk in ordering a palette where they might not get the right one. So we've got this. Let's start with some swatches. So we've got the top two shades and the middle. And just looking at these, you can see that the first shade is kind of a satin, like cantaloupe orange. It kind of looks a little peachy, but it's actually more orange. And then we have this gold shade here, which comes off more pigmented in the swatch, but when you put this on your eye, it's really more of a topper shade. And then we have the center shade, which is a satin finish dusty rose. You can see that the satin finish on this is not quite as strong as this. This is like pretty much metallic. So it's a satin metallic, and this one's more of a true satin. And then these bottom two shades are both mattes. So we have a warm tone brown, and then we have a soft tone black. And the black, it kind of has a little bit of a really deep brown base to it. So there is a little bit of warmth to the black. Overall, these shades all lean fairly warm, and they all have some warm tones to them. This one is the blush 332 Autumn Mood, and there's another blush that it's actually not marked as new, but it is relatively new, and it is limited edition. It's called, I think, Rose Delights, and I thought about picking that one up, but I have so many new blushes, and I figured that one was more similar in shades to other ones I already have. So I only picked up this one. So this is Autumn Mood, which is more of an orange blush. And here's that, kind of blended out. You can see that the tones, the base tones of that are definitely going to have more of a yellow tone. This is a warm tone blush. And right now I have 3 eye looks to show you, and as well as the blush demo. So we're gonna go ahead and look at those, and then when we come back, we're going to do some color comparisons. Right, so for the first look using Golden Day, I'm gonna actually go in to this top shade here. You can see it's like a peachy satin shade, and I'm using the Sonia G Crease 2 brush, and I don't have any primer or anything on today. Look at that beautiful color. That would be a very pretty color just on its own. And then I wiped off this brush. We're gonna go into the deepest shade here, which looks almost black in the pan. And we're gonna dab this on here. Just to get a little shadow there. Okay, I'm wiping this brush off, and I'm just going to kind of blend the crease a little bit. So I'm getting a little bit of the deeper shade into the crease, and that is okay. Next, I'm taking a Sonia G soft shader, and I'm gonna go into the center shade, which is kind of this like mauve-y pink tone color. And I'm gonna put this all over the lid, including over the dark shade. You can see that there is a satin finish on this. I'm just gonna add a little bit more of this right at the darker corner or over the darker corner, and just kind of blend that a little bit for a softer transition. There, so now we have a little bit more of a shadow there. Next, I'm taking the T8 from Chikuhodo into this gold, and I am rolling it in here. So I have some on the tip, and I'm gonna place this in the inner corner for some brightening. Just kind of extend that up and down a little bit. And then for under the eye, I'm actually gonna go back into the shade that I used for the crease, and I'm twirling the brush in here and just gonna put this right on the lower lash line here. See if that's too peachy or not. And then I'm gonna go into the bottom shade, and that one comes up very easily. Let me just tapped that a little bit on my cloth, and I'm going right underneath that shade just to kind of mitigate a little bit of that satin effect. So those are the eyes. I'm going to add some eyeliner now. Let's see what we should add. I'm going with the new Chanel eyeliner in number 56, Khaki Metal. I'm just gonna put this along the upper lash line. And I'm just taking that T8 just to go softly over that, just smudge that a little bit on the edges. This is a very soft brush, so it's not going to smudge it a lot. If I wanted to smudge it more, I'd go in with something a little bit firmer, or just go back to the soft shader, using this on the tip. You know, gives it a little bit more, it's a little bit firmer. All right, so I'm gonna add some mascara. I'll see you in a second. And here is the final look up close. And here is the final look from a distance. So on my lips, I have a mix of the Burberry lipsticks just kind of patted on in Lola Red and TB Orange. And then on the skin, I have the new Clé de Peau Radiant Natural Foundation in I-10. And the blush, I actually have a mix of the Clé de Peau Cream Blush in shade number 4, Perfect Peach, and the Makeup by Mario Cream Blush Stick in Soft Coral. And the highlighter is the Lisa Eldridge Crystal Nebula underneath the foundation. Oh, and I forgot brows, but mascara, I have the Chanel, the mascara base, and lip volume de Chanel. So do some brows, and thanks again for watching. All right, so we're gonna start off with the classic crease from Sonia G, and we're gonna go into this matte brown on the bottom left. Just gonna get a little bit on the brush. I have the Viseart eye primer on. Oh, and I've got an eyelash on my face. I'll get that in a second. And just gonna move this into the crease. Just a soft blend here. Taking the same brush, I wiped it off. We're gonna go into the black and just add a little bit of this on the outer portion here. Just a little bit more. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there, and I am wiping the brush off. And now I'm going to take this, and I'm using more of the side of it, and I'm just going to kind of blend this out a little bit, just to soften it a tad. And then I am taking the Worker 2 from Synergy. I'm going to go into this Satin Peach, the very first shade in the palette, and I'm just going to get that kind of all over here. We're going to start here at the inner corner and just work our way over. So I'm not gonna, well, I guess I will kind of cover that black mostly. I'm gonna blend that out a bit though. All right, so this combination actually reminds me a lot of the Tom Ford Duo Over Summer. Let me just swatch those together for you. All right, so here is the cream from Tom Ford. Just gonna kind of blend that out a little bit, shear it out on this end here, so you can kind of see all of this. And then this is the black from Dior. I got that kind of sheared out as well. You can see that the blacks themselves, the one from Tom Ford is a truer, more blue black, whereas there's more gray in the Dior. It's more of a brown black. Now the topper for Tom Ford is like a true gold. So no, the colors are not exactly the same or anything like that, but I do think that it's going to have a similar effect on the eye. So here's this. I'm gonna add more gold to this part. All right, so we're just gonna add some more here to kind of see what that looks like. And then here's the peach shade from Dior. Add a little bit more of that. So, you know, obviously the tones and everything are different. You know, it's more of a satin instead of like a shimmer shade, but I still feel like it gives a similar vibe on the eye. So just something I wanted to bring up. And for the lower lash line, going back into this matte brown from the beginning, this is the KZ8, and I'm just twirling this a little bit in here. Just gonna put this on the lower lash line. I haven't finished the rest of my makeup, so I'm not gonna do too much here. All right, and for the lower lash line, I'm taking the KZ08 into this matte brown, the first shade that we use. I'm gonna put that right here. And now I'm just gonna take this into the gold topper shade, put this in the inner corner here for a little brightening. Okay, and for eyeliner, I'm taking the Chanel eyeliner in Noir Intense number 88. And I'm just gonna put this on the lash line here. So this is the final eye look up close. And this is the final eye look from a distance. All right, so I'm starting off with the pencil brush from the Chakotay Z series, and I'm going into the black, and I'm just twirling my brush in it, and I'm going to smudge this along the lash line. And I have the Viseart eye primer on. Taking the Synergy soft shader, completely clean, no powder on it, and I'm just kind of feathering out those edges just a little bit. And then I'm gonna go in with this matte brown shade here from the bottom left. So I'm going just about to the crease, and I'm going over the black here. I thought that might cover the black a little bit more, but it really, it isn't. So let me add a little bit more brown here and see what that does. There we go. I'm taking the Refer 27. It is a fluffier crease brush, and I'm going in with absolutely no product on here and just kind of buffing what's there. So normally what I would do, because I kind of wanted to do this like more of like a vertical ombre effect with matte shadows. There is not a lighter matte shadow here that I want to use. So normally I would just go ahead and take some sort of like more beigey shade and put it in a crease and just kind of blend it all together. But because I want to stick with this palette in particular, I think we will go ahead and use the middle shade, this like rosy shade. So I'm going in with a crease brush here, and this is a satin, but it is a softer satin. It's not quite as much of a sheen as the peach shade, which is why I chose this one. So I think that's it, but I'm going to go in with the rose and the brown together, just going back and forth a little bit. So I have a mix here, and now I'm going to kind of go over that with this. So that diffuses the satin a little bit and also gives a little bit more of a blended look there. And just wiping whatever's left kind of over the black area. All right, to re-emphasize a little bit of the matte texture, because you can see that the rose and the brown shade, they've pretty much mixed all over. So I'm gonna go back with the soft shader and just get a little tiny bit of the matte brown and just gently kind of tap it on up to the crease. Just kind of go over everything on the mobile lid. All right, so now you can't really see the black, which was the point. You really have just more of like a deeper shade there. And it kind of blends up nicely. So let me just get that a little bit. Now, I haven't done the rest of my face, but we have the Sublimage foundation on in shade BR12. And I am going to go ahead back with this C-Series brush, and I've wiped it off really well. I'm gonna go into the matte brown here for the lower lash line. And for the inner corner, I'm just gonna go into the rosy shade a little bit here. Just add that to the inner corner because I don't want anything really stark. And then for the outer corner of the lower lash line, I'm gonna get a little bit of this black and then the brown. So touch of black and the brown just to get it a little bit deeper right there. Okay, I wiped off the brush, and then I'm just gonna kind of blend those together a little bit under the lash line. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of the Chanel Stylo Ya in 88, more intense, just to the upper lash line, just right against the lashes. And that's it. Not gonna do anything else with that. And here is the final look up close. And this is the final look from a distance. All right, so now we're going to take a look at the blush in Autumn Mood, and we are going to use the Surratt cheek brush. This is, you know, a squirrel hairbrush, so it is going to be a little bit softer on application. And on my face, I have the Chanel Sublimage foundation in shade BR12. So let's just apply this here. All right, so here is Autumn Mood with the squirrel hair. And now I'm going to use the Sonia G Designer Pro, which is dyed goat hair on this side. And you can see the difference. So you can see that even though the squirrel is a softer brush, and typically, you know, squirrel hair brushes can have a harder time picking up like a harder pan product, it actually applied it more intensely than the goat hair did. So here is Autumn Mood with Designer Pro and the Surratt cheek brush. All right, and here it is after applying Guerlain Meteorites in Pearl Glow, as well as the Laura Mercier highlighter in Rose Glow. So again, Surratt brush, Sunyaji Dyed Goat. And here they are from a distance. So again, Sunyaji Dyed Goat, Designer Pro, Surratt cheek brush, Squirrel. All right, so I don't have a lot of blushes like Autumn Mood. I don't really wear orange blush too much. So the first thing I thought of is actually this Viseart palette. This is the Rose Coral blush palette. And we're gonna go ahead and swatch this top shade. And let's see how this, we'll put this on this side. So this is the Viseart. So you can see the Viseart is definitely much more of a coral compared to the more pumpkin peach shade of Autumn Mood. And then I have some Suku blushes. So this is number 127. These were all limited edition shades. So I don't know if any of them are still available. This is 127. You can see 127 is actually going to be a pretty close color match, but it's a little bit more vibrant than Autumn Mood. And this one here is 125, which is going to be a little bit lighter and peachier. This particular blush palette and the other shade that came out with this collection, they're both very, very light. And this one came out last year for the holidays. This is 123. It's really much more yellow, but I just wanted to share that with you in case you have any of those. And then I have this shade from Surratt. This is Brilliant. Or is it Brilliant? Yes, Brilliant or Brilliant. So I'm gonna put this one right here next in between the Viseart. You can see how much more vibrant the Surratt is. And then I also have one more Surratt shade. And then I also have Peau de Pêche from Surratt. And I'm gonna put that one right here on the other side of Autumn Mood. And you can see that again, there's gonna be more of a rosy tone in there. It doesn't quite match with Autumn Mood, but it's definitely closer than Brilliant or Brilliant. Now, as for eyeshadow comparisons, this one here is 579 Jungle, and this palette is part of the permanent range. And let's go ahead and take a look at this. And if you take a look at the Every Swatch Instagram page, there are side-by-side comparisons of each of these shades. So the top one's paired up and the second one's paired up and so forth. Now, as I mentioned, this one's more of a topper. Over here in the Jungle palette, it's a little bit more of a satin. And you can see that it's more ivory. And you can also see that there is a definite tone difference between Jungle and Golden Day. This is much more peachy. This is more of a coppery peach. And then we have a matte brown in the center. And then the bottom two shades, we have kind of this like metallic satin olive green and a really deep forest green. So this is green instead of the black here. And overall though, you can get a very similar vibe from these. A lot of the looks that I created with Golden Day are very similar. Obviously the tones are slightly different, but they are very similar to ones I can create with Jungle. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that not only do the colors have some similarity to them, to each other, even though, they might be a little different, it's kind of like the combination of what types of shades are included in this palette. It's like the same pattern. So it does produce a very similar effect. Now, a couple of the Dior singles I wanted to compare them to. This is 763 Rosewood, which is a matte shade, but I want to put this, we'll put this right here. Okay, compared to the center shade here. So the Rosewood matte is going to be deeper and has a little bit more red in it. It's warmer in tone as well. And then we also have the Dior Cashmere, which is 443. And I'm going to stick this one right here. You can see that this is going to be a lighter, softer brown compared to the Golden Day. And this one here is Poncho, number 481. And this one's actually a satin. We'll put that right here. But you can see it's a little cooler in tone, but they have a very similar depth, very similar look to each other. So that's going to be it for my comparisons. If there are any other comparisons you'd like to see for these, please let me know down below or DM me on Instagram at AlexisJong. I will be having another update video soon, and I can include further comparisons there with what I have. But these are the ones that I thought were the closest. Just a little product information on these. The blush is 6.7 grams or 0.23 ounces, and it is made in France. And the eyeshadow palette, again, it's limited edition, but it is priced the same as a regular line, so it's $62. And this is 7 grams or 0.24 ounces, also made in France. So just a few notes there. And as for my thoughts on the palette, I think it is a very pretty palette. It's really nice if you like warm neutrals. If you don't have jungle, you might want to decide between the two of them. I do think that they are close enough that you don't need to have both. And for me, having, you know, neutral leaning slightly cool tones, jungle for me is a little bit cooler in tone, and that would be my preference. So I do like this one, and I think it is a really nice palette, but I think compared to the two palettes, for me, jungle wins. But I do think Golden Day is gorgeous, and if you have a warm coloring, you can create so many gorgeous looks on here. I really like, you know, I didn't know how much I like having the black, but I really like the black. I like these two mixed together. You know, I think they're really gorgeous. I think all of the shades in here work really well and are very pretty. So just with my particular collection, it's not one that I necessarily need. As for the Autumn Mood Blush, I am glad I picked this one up because it is different from other shades I have in my collection. I don't wear orange blush too often, but there are times when I do like to use it, and you know, I just think it's something a little different. So I do like it, and if you're familiar with the Dior blush formula, you know, this is the same formula as other blushes that I have from this line. And yeah, I think that's basically it. So I hope this was helpful. I would love to know what your thoughts are on this. Honestly, with this kind of whole debacle with the names, it's a real mess. So I can't say that I would necessarily recommend picking these up since they've had so many opportunities to kind of fix the situation and they just haven't. So I think that's really going to be a personal decision, but I do hope this helps. And if you did not watch the actual eye looks and you're looking for a comparison of the Tom Ford duo, the Black Sand duo from this summer collection, that is in the second look. So make sure you check that out if you're looking for swatches for that one. And thank you so much. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you very soon. Have a great day.